Hi, I'm Paul Seal from coachshare.co.uk. Welcome to part 2 of episode 11 in this series where I show you how to build a website with Umbraco 13. Again, I'm sorry we've gone into a part 2, but in the last part we were trying to do all the examine search. We got to about an hour and I realized it was going to go way too far. Let's split this up and go on to episode 2 where we'll fix the problem I was having and we will finish off this search. So let's have a look at the problem I was having. So we'll just go over to here and we'll go to the search page. And the problem I was having was I was getting all of the document types showing up in the list, and these were document types that I tried to exclude. So we'll go into the code, and let's see. I bet you were shouting out when you was watching the last episode, screaming the most obvious of errors, because when I looked at it the next time I came back to my computer, I was like, oh yeah, that's so obvious. So the problem was that it's not excluding certain document types. We have a list of document types it's supposed to exclude, and they are here, and I'll give you a second to guess what the problem was. It was a typo. Of course it was a typo, and how ironic that the typo was in the part called type. Anyway, is it ironic? I don't think that's irony. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's the simple fix. So by doing that, what we should find is that when this page loads again, it will load a reduced list of document types, and they'll be the document types that are allowed to be shown in the results. So I'm glad it happened, if I'm honest, because I always like to leave the errors in and show you how I solve them. And this is one of those errors. So let's just let it load and then we'll carry on with this search once it has loaded, and we'll be able to get on with the rest of this episode. Right, I'll just load the back office because I think it's ready. Front office is just taking a little second. The front office, have you ever heard it called the front office? There we go. So it's a restricted one, and if you click through, that will take you to a real page that has a template. Oh, that one shouldn't be there. So reusable site settings, reusable content testing. That's interesting that one snuck through. Reusable content repository. Very interesting that one snuck through. Oh, I was hoping that we wouldn't have any of these issues. So let's have a look and work out what's the problem now. Come on, let's hear it. So testing, let's have a look. It's a reusable content item. And what did I do? Reusable content. So that was my block grid one rather than my page one. So I'll reload that. Hopefully the hot reload will work. We'll go back to the search results, give it a reload, and it has. So that's good then. So that was a simple one again. So finally got over that, and we are here with these. So one thing I wanted to show you was about the impact of using the Umbraco Navi hide. So if we go to page settings and we set this to hide, set this to true if you want to hide this page from search results and list pages. So now if we save and publish, and then we go to this, again, that's removed it from there. And if we undid that, save and publish, reload, it's come back. So that's what that is doing. So it's updating in the index. Also, let's have a look at the index. So if we go to settings and examine management, and then we look at, we've got 4 indexes here. One is for the content delivery API. And that is basically for the headless APIs. We've got the external index, which is the one we're currently using. And we know that because of the constants value that we put in here, Umbraco index as external index name. So that's the one we're searching against. We've got the internal index, so that includes the unpublished content as well. And then we've got the members index. So if you've got any members on your site, you can search for those members using the members index. So that should be quicker than using the member service or the member manager and things like that. Anyway, let's go into this and let's just have a look for the word about, and then we can see about this site. So with Examine, what it does is it stores all these fields that it can then search against. So we've got some that are baked into Umbraco, these ones here, and they've got underscore underscore. Then there's other ones that come with Umbraco like create date, creator ID, and creator name. But then there are some more ones that we've created as properties. And yeah, if you notice, dates come in as a number of ticks as well. And the URL name is in there as well. So there's all sorts of things that you can search against. Notice this, the page tags. So where we filtered, where we added some in the content, let's just come out of this and say about this site page settings. So that is picked and that is picked. But if you had a look at that index value, we look at about, it's not that useful to us when it's just stored as this. So these are called UDIs. So it's a reference to a document with a key of this. So if we just bear that key in mind, 815 ending in B5C, let's look in Umbraco and work out how that maps to that. So if we have a look, 815 ending with B5C. So that's this one here. And if you notice that the dashes were removed from that when it's in the UDI. So this is the key, and that's what makes up that UDI. Anyway, so we've looked at how using hide impacts the search results. We've looked at how filtering by doc type alias impacts the search results as well. Let's have a look at some of the other things that we can do with the search. So we're going to the code. Right, so at the moment it's quite a simple query. I know the code might look complicated here, but it's not really doing much. It's just literally taking in the search query, working out what terms it can search for, and then it's doing the execute of that with the filters and everything. Now, one thing is that the node name. So let's see if we can actually search. So I'm just going to put query equals about. So that worked. So about worked. What about if we put in Umbraco? So we don't seem to have anything with Umbraco in the search. So let's go into the content and add something for Umbraco. Maybe we could do Umbraco in the meta description. Save and publish that, and then we'll filter by this. Now notice that no results came up. So we can actually search for the meta description matching with the search field. So if we go into here, and then we can do we can add it into here for a start. So meta description, and then we can hot reload that, and hopefully that's loaded, and you can see already it's now bringing up results that's got meta description in them. And then we can also put, let's say, change this to contact about Umbraco. So that is in the node name. We'll refresh that. Now, can you see though that contact about Umbraco is coming up below the other one? And what you can do as well in your results, you can actually get the score. So let's just go to the views. Let's go to the search page. There is in the item, there should be a score. So I'm just going to put the score here if possible. That. And we'll reload that. So that one's getting a better score. Testing with image caption page gets a better score than the contact about Umbraco. And that might be because Umbraco was the only value in the meta description or whatever. So there could be all sorts of reasons. And something to bear in mind that search with things like Lucene and Examine and Elasticsearch and Azure Search, it's never going to be perfect. What we're working towards is what the client wants, like more when we search by this is what we would like. And there are all sorts of things that you can do, but one of those things that you can do is boosting. So we can boost the fact that it's in the name field or the title field. So let's put that code in to say, actually, if it is in the title, in the name or the title, I want this to come up above the other results. So to do that, we need to create ourselves an extension method, and this extension method will allow us to use those terms and do a boost on each of those terms that got split from, the space split that we had here. So if we go to our string array extensions, so we'll create that now, add class, string array extensions .cs. And in this, it'll be a static class because it's an extension method. And this static class will have 3 methods in it. It's an extension. These are going to be extension methods. There'll be 3 of them in this static class. So these will be created as public static. And then they're going to return iExamine value, and which is an array, and that is nullable. So an array of iExamine value that is nullable. So the first one we're going to do is called fuzzy. So this string array, so the class or the type that we want this method to be available on is a string array called, and we're calling this terms when it's passed into here. And then on this, we're putting the fuzziness. We're going to use this after the boost, but for now, I'm just getting us to put all of these in and we'll use them. So the fuzziness is 0.5f. So it's a float, and that's how we define what that is. So you'll understand about the fuzziness in a moment. So if terms is null, or then just return null. So if there's no terms, then just null. Then what we want is a list of iExamine value called values equals an empty array. Then for each var item in terms, what we're doing here, I'll just close that off. So what we want to do is we want to say values.add, and then we want to do item.fuzzy. So we'll add the fuzzy method, do the fuzzy method at this point and tell it how fuzzy. And I'll explain the fuzziness to you after when we get to that part. So we'll add that fuzziness. So, and then what we want to do here, return and I can't remember what this operator is. Well, let's just do return values. And now this is complaining. Values not null. Is it working in an array? Cannot explicitly convert this to, right, okay. So anyway, what I've got on my other example is this. I cannot remember what this is for. The code actually works. I'm being honest with you, I can't remember what it is. If you know what this is, again, please put it in the comments. It's new syntax to me, and I think when I was doing the cleanup of the code, it came out with that, suggested that, because we're using the editor config. So this is an example of sometimes what looks cleaner you don't necessarily understand, but I'm not ashamed to admit it. Anyway, so now we've got the boost one. So this is the extension method that we came here to write. And it works similar to the other one. So if terms is null, return null. We'll do that first of all. Then we'll set up a list of iExamine value. We can actually, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll just copy this, copy the whole lot. It's not a typing exercise. And then instead of fuzzy, we'll just say boost. And then the boost value we'll put in there. So it's basically the same method, but this time we're calling boost and putting that value. And there might be a way to clean this up, make a single method and then you pass in the boost or the fuzziness or the whatever. But I'm not going to try and be too clever because we don't need to. Then we'll just create another one, and this one is multiple character wildcard. So the whole point of these methods is to be able to, for every item in the array of those terms, call the boost or the fuzzy or the multiple character wildcard. So yeah, we're going to type that in here. The name of this is multiple character wildcard. And we don't need to have anything else. And then we just call that method here. Multiple character wildcard. So what I'm doing now, so adds a multi-character wildcard to a string for leucine. The string to wildcard. So this is where this allows you to search for part of a word, etc. So that's quite useful for us. Boost will push something higher up the results, and fuzzy will try and find a match even if you've done a spelling error or anything like that. It will look for similar words. So going back into here, so let's just have a look again. We've got our node name and we've got our meta description, and we found the results were different. So what I want to do is I just want to copy this and separate them out for a start. Oops. Do dot or and then grouped or. Right, so yeah, as I was saying, we want to separate them out. So we've got a meta description in this one, and we've got a node name in that one. So what we want to do is we want to call the boost, and for the node name I'm giving it a boost value of 70. I'm not doing a boost on the meta description at the moment, but I can do a boost. I can do a lower score boost actually. Let's do that. So the boost for that is 50. And this scale is up to you, but you do it relative. So you give it a higher boost for the thing more important and a lower boost for the others. The value that goes into that, you'll need to play with and tweak. But I checked these values with Callum White, and he said that these values are fine. Anyway, let's hot reload if we can. Let's go back into here and then refresh the page. So that's still coming up testing image with caption is still coming up higher than this one here. So that is odd. I've got to be honest, that is odd. I wasn't expecting it to still be lower. So let's go in and just put some of the other fields as well. So if we copy this and we put all of it in, so I like to do, right, so we have a meta title, so that's an important one, and I'd give that one an 80. We've got a node name, I'll give that one a 70. We've got a meta title, we can make that fuzzy as well, so what we'll say is, you know, try and get a similar match on that. And by default, that's got a fuzzy of 0.5. So it will find similar words at a range of what it says is 0.5, and then you can change that down to 0.1 and see the results, or move that nearer to 1, etc. So we've got the meta title, and we'll also do on the meta title, we'll do the multiple character wildcard as well. So we've decided that for the title and the node name, we're doing boosting. For the title and the so for the title we'll do a fuzzy and we'll do multiple character wildcard, and then for the node name we'll do a fuzzy here, and then also for the node name we'll do the multiple character wildcard as well. And then for the meta description, we've got the boost of 50. There we go. And then for the header content, so you know how we have the header, the standard header, we can do the header content as well. I wonder what's going on there. I think I've missed a bracket for some reason. There we go. So we can also look in the header content and we can boost that one by 40, so that's less priority. And then finally we'll put in the main content as well, so that's the content grid for the header and the content grid for the body. So we'll do main content there, put these on here. We don't need that last one. Okay, so that's all of our boosts and everything like that. So I've set it up the same as what I've got on my other project. Let's just see, rebuild solution. I didn't need to rebuild. I've just added a little bit of time on again. That was annoying. We'll run it without debugging and we'll see what the results are. But yeah, hopefully that is clear. So we've got some other ways to search and try and get better priority on fields. And if it's not given the priority you want, you can alter these numbers as well and get it to give that priority. I mean, the fact that the word Umbraco is in the node name, and it's only in the meta description for the other one, we might need to boost this even more. So let's have a look. Any minute now. Okay, right, now we have it. So we're getting a better score now. Contact about Umbraco. So by putting these in, it's actually pushed the search results up higher. It's given it more prominence. So that's cool. So I'm happy with that. And I feel like we can move on with this. But, well, before we do, we can say Umbraco. You see, it's matched only this one. And if you remember that this one is in the name, And this one in the name has got a fuzzy search on it. It's also got a multiple character wildcard. So this one's got the fuzzy search, whereas if you look at meta description, that one's just got a boost where it just matches the term. So because it doesn't match the term, it's not showing up in the results for that one. So there's an example of how the fuzzy would work. I think if we did like that, we've got the multiple character wildcard, which will come into play and catch that one as well. So there's a couple of good examples of how we can use those. Okay, so another part of this searching on this site is the fact that we've got these tags. So the tags that I'm talking about are in here in the page settings, these page tags. So in the example site that I built already, if we go to the search, you will see that we've got these, and we can filter by that as well. So as well as being able to search for Umbraco, we can also search with an and on the here. So maybe we've got, click filter on that Umbraco there. So we've got Umbraco in the tags. So is this page tagged with Umbraco, and does it mention Umbraco in the content anywhere? Right, so what we want to do is we want to add these filters in, and we want to get the search service working with those filters as well. So I think now is a good time to actually stop using just the query string and introduce the actual form. So the way we do that is we're going to create some view components, because if you have a look at the example that I've got on the search page already, you can see here we've got a search form component, a search results component, and a pagination component. And we are receiving into this view this model, search page content model, and this model was set in the controller when the page was starting to load. That was set in there, and each of these things were set higher up into there. So then at the point when we need to call out to these components, we can pass in the search request, the search response, and the pagination. And then these will call the view components. So search form will just call out and render the default view for that component that is found within the folder structure. So we've got search form default. So that will render out this view here, and so on and so on. So let's get on to doing that, and we'll start with the form itself. So we'll just create ourselves a view component for that. So in our components folder, we've already got one called contact view component. What we can do is copy that, paste it, and then we can call this search form view component. I'm going to copy the name of that. I'm going to replace that in here, and I'm just going to put the name search form in there as well. Now the search form view component needs to expect a search request model. There we are. And then we're just simply going to just return a view. So we'll return the default view with that search request model. Okay, and we can see that we don't need that anymore. So on my Visual Studio, what I can do is Control RG, and that will remove unused usings. I think also the .NET format that runs when you do a build, that'll do it as well. So if we just save all, come out of the file, maybe close the file, do a build solution, then the pre-build event that we looked at at the bottom of here, the pre-build event that runs .NET format, if we have a look at that, we should see a .NET format running it up here. Yeah, formatting code file fixes. So now if we go back to the recent file where we were in, so that was the search form view component, it didn't actually run that, and it didn't actually delete that. Fair enough, it didn't delete it. I thought it did. Maybe I was wrong. Or maybe that event didn't run. Maybe it's when you rebuild solution. But let's just leave that anyway. So we've got our search form and we need to have the HTML for it. So if we go into search form in here, and I'll go to views, shared, components, and then I want to call this one search form, which is the name of the view component. So add folder, search form, and then I'm just going to copy this default one, paste it in here, and then we'll change everything about it up here. So the model that it needs is the search request model. And why is that? Because that's the one, if we just do control dot, it will find that using for that one. Again, let's have a look. That's what it's expecting in here when it invokes the view component, and that's what it passes into the view. So that's why we are using that model in here. Next, what we want to do is we want to just create this simple form. So I'm just going to delete everything that was on this one. Just make sure that we've deleted it on the right one. So this is the search form one and not the one that we copied. So yeah, there we are. We're at the top of this. We just need it to know about the search models and the controllers. So if we do form method equals get, and then we do the action equals at Umbraco, unit dot assigned content item dot URL. So the action is basically the path where it goes off to, and we want it to come back to this page. So this is just going to be a simple get one. And when we do a get, the fields that are on the form go back to the page in the form of query string parameters. So if we do div class equals margin bottom 3, and then inside that, I forgot to close that with that. And then inside that, we'll have our label for, and then we'll call it query. And then we'll have a class form label and display none. And then we'll have area hidden equals true. And then we'll put this as search term. So that's just letting the screen readers know about this label for this input. And then we'll do an input type. We'll do class equals form control. We will do an ID equals query. And then we'll do type equals text. Placeholder is search term. And don't forget, you can create dictionary items for any of this slot and you can put it into your dictionary. I've already shown you how to do that in a previous episode. So this one's important. Name equals query. So the name is what the query string parameter is called, and then the value comes from this input. So that is important there, the name, and then the value equals at model dot question mark dot query. So this is coming from the search request model. So the value that we're setting it is coming from that search request model that got passed through. So let's have a look at that first of all before we add anything to do with the tags. And actually, let's just put in a button down here. So button class equals btn primary and then just call this the submit button. Again, you can use dictionaries and things like that, but for speeding up the demo, let's just leave it as it is. And now let's hot reload. And then we'll go back to our page. We'll reload the search page. And first of all, it doesn't know about it because we didn't call it, we didn't invoke that view component from the search page. So that's easy enough to solve. So we just go to our search page. We'll go in here where it was rendering out what that query was, and we'll say at await, because it's an asynchronous task, and we'll do component dot invoke async, and then we'll tell it to invoke the search form component, and the model we want to pass is model dot search request, like that. And I'll just double check to see if that is how we're passing it, and that is how we're passing it. So now we'll hot reload again, reload the page, and now if we type in about, we get the results come in, we get the value set in here, something, no, nothing about something. What about lorem? There we go, there's a couple of pages with lorem ipsum on them. So that's good, and we can, now that we've finished tweaking the scores and everything like that, let's remove the score from the results. There we go. It's starting to take some sort of shape. So we've got the form. We're getting some results. I suppose before we do the filtering, I know I said we were going to do the filtering, but I suppose we could still build up this search results and the pagination before we get into that other part of the filtering by tags. I feel like it's better to build it up, and this part is a bit simpler than the filter by tags. So I know I keep making you think we're doing one thing and then we go off on the other, but it feels like it makes more sense. All right, I'm going to stop justifying it now. So anyway, let's work on the search response, and that is another, not a search response, a search results, and that is another view component. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this one, paste that, F2 search results. Oops, spell it properly. We've already seen what happens when you don't. View component, remove the word copy, copy the name of it, replace that there, call that search results. And this one wants to expect a search response model, so you get the idea. It's following a similar sort of pattern, and then we want to copy that folder, drag it up to there, rename it and call this search results. And then scroll down and find our search results. So our search results, first of all, will be expecting a search response model. And what we want to do is we want to put in a paragraph in here just to say total results at model question mark dot total result count. Okay, and so we can also, just before we do that, we can get this to be rendered at this point. So we can call that await component invoke async search results model dot search response. and run that. So then what we're expecting to see is a total results message under there. So we've got an error, so that's good. A view component has not been found. So why is it not been found? Search results, search results, search results, view component. Maybe I need to just do a build solution. So maybe the hot reload won't know about that, and actually we just need to build the solution again and run it again without debugging, and that way it will have time to know about it this time. So that's what I'm thinking anyway, because I think we've got the naming correctly. It could be that we've not typed it in correctly here, search results, but it looks like we have typed it in here. We can do the question mark dot on that one and save it again, just so that if it's not null, otherwise just pass in null. Right, there we go, and it says total results is 2, so that's great. So we're moving further towards it. Let's all go back into our default view. So after that, what we want to say, oops, at if model question mark dot has results. So if the model's not null and it's got results, otherwise false. So if you can get past this check, then we'll just create something to count for us, and we'll call that item count. So what it's saying is declare a counter, and then I'm just going to create a div class and row, and within that I'm going to do a for each loop. So we already know it's got results, and we're going to say var item in model question mark dot search results. So similar to what we had before. For every one of these, we're going to get the content item equals umbraco dot content dot item dot id. So we're only getting this at this point. We're only doing it when we're going to render results. We're not doing it for every result that is in the search results. We could do it in the code and then pass it into this as our published content if we want, but and if people think that that's better for performance, I'm always up to hear that. Things like this, feed it back. I'm not going to take offense if you want to challenge what I've done and improve it. Raise your feedback with the intention to help improve what I'm doing and to help others as well. So div class card equals card, and then margin bottom. So we're going to create like a bootstrap card layout for this. And then what we're going to do as well in here is we're going to check the item count. And if the item count, and this is the mod, so if we say, if we try and do mod 2, if that is an even number, then we want it to be white. Otherwise, we want this class to be BG light. So not majorly different, but different enough. And then we want to close that. There we are. So we've got our div. We've got our class on our div. And then inside that we want a header part. So div class equals card header. There we are. We've got a card header, and we want a transparent background on it. So BG transparent. We'll close that div. For some reason the autocomplete's not working now. I was impressed with it before, but for some reason it doesn't like to give it to me anymore. And in this, we'll just put the link href equals at content item dot URL. Just give us a link to the page. content item dot name. So we're just going to render it by the name and with inside a link. Then in this card, we're going to have a card body, div class equals card body. And we'll close that div. So if the content item is of a type, so the type is ISEO properties, then we'll call that object SEO if it is. So this is an up-to-date .NET thing as well. So we're saying if the content item is basically castable to this or inherits from this class, then we want to put the meta description in at SEO.meta description. So has it got any SEO properties? Right, well if it has, then we probably want to render that description here now. I'm just going to put in this last div, which is the class equals card footer. And then in that we do BG transparent as well. And in this, we're just going to put use the small tag. How often do you get to use that? And we'll just say last updated, and then we'll say content item dot last updated or update date. And then this counter, for that to work, we inside the for each, we just need to do item count plus plus. Should be able to hot reload that. So now we should, yep, there we go, total results. We've got a card, it's got a meta description on it, it's rendering it out. We've got the header, the footer. This can be whatever you want. We didn't have a search page on this, so that's why I made it like this. So now let's have a look for about, or Umbraco. Yeah, you see, so it's working. This is good. So that's our form, and that's how the search is working, where it does a GET request and it's passing it through to here. Very good. So where were we? We were looking at the filters. So the filters are a bit more complicated and we need to start from the beginning with that. I would suggest doing another episode, but I'm just going to go for it. This is the last one, however long it's going to be. Okay. I got a bit of help from Callum on this as well, because I got it all working, but he helped me simplify the code and the syntax and things like that, and use the correct way of doing things. So I really appreciate the help on this episode, Callum. So thanks once again. I'm just closing all the windows for now, just so it doesn't distract me. Right, so with the tags, let's just log back in. We have got these tags, and they have a tag alias. This will be set when the tag is created, but we didn't ever do anything with that. So what we need to do is we need to sort that out first of all, and that's using a notification. So let's go in here and we'll create a folder called notifications. Oh, actually, I'm just going to collapse it. So add folder notifications. Is it notifications? Yeah. And then we're going to create ourselves a notification handler. So we'll do add class, content saving, notification handler. This is basically like an event handler. And it listens for a notification, or when an event, in the old days when an event got raised. So it's listening for that. In my example, I'm using the I'm using the primary constructor, so we're going to do that this way. So short string helper in here. We need to pass that in, and then we do notification handler of type content saving notification. Right. Is it content saving notification? Saving notification. Okay, so that is our primary constructor there. And in here, we want to have a handle method. So if we do control dot, actually, do you know what? This whole primary constructor, I'm not convinced, seems to be making it a bit messy. I'm just going to do inherits from notification handler and content saving. I'm not going to pretend that I really like this. No, I'm going to be honest. I don't write my code in that way. I write it a slightly different way. It doesn't feel comfortable. Let's do control dot, implement the interface. We need a handle event. Right, this is how I normally write my code. The primary constructor, I feel, is just to make it shorter or neater. This is how I've been writing it for years, and I'm going to stick with it. Anyway, so we're going to use the short string helper. So we'll do private read only. Short string helper. There we go. And in doing that, I'm going to do control dot and say add parameters, generate constructor. There we go. That's going to pass this in. It's going to then set that value in there. Very nice. Constructor declared in a type with a parameter list must have this constructor initialized. So let's just see. I'm not sure why that's doing that. What's it saying now? No, it's getting complicated again. Right. A constructor declared in a type with parameter list must have this. Why? I'm just injecting that into the constructor, public notification handler, and I'm just setting it there. You see, even if I do what it suggests, it's not working. This is very weird, and I'm not sure what's going on or why it needs to be so complicated. But I'm going to get to the bottom of it, and you're coming along for the ride with me if you're watching this. Must have this constructor initializer. Do you think I just need an empty constructor? Public. Do you think it's that simple as that? No? Oh, I don't know. I'm getting confused. Well, what it will do, we'll have to come back to that another time, or maybe look into that in the comments. To get this working, we're going to have to speed this up. I'm just going to have to do it as per my example, which is using the primary constructor, which I don't really like. Oh well. Just delete that. It's coming in on the class anyway now. Okay, so we've got our handle method. We've got our content saving notification coming in there, the handle. We've got everything we need, and now the errors are gone. Are primary constructors better after all? You tell me. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to say for each var node, in notification.saved entities. So when this event gets raised, it will be for a set of entities that are content items. And then what we'll say in here, remember the whole point of this is to get the tag that was created and get the name of the tag and save an alias property with it. And that alias is a read-only property. So it's a label of string. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if node.content-type.alias.equals, and then we'll put in here page tag dot model type alias. So if it's a page tag, then and the node.id equals 0, that means it's new. It doesn't have a node ID yet. So that's how we know it's new. Then we'll do var safe alias equals node, if it's not null, the name, if that's not null, to safe alias, and we'll pass in this short string helper. So to safe alias is a extension method that comes within Umbraco. Control F12 we can see. Yeah. So this is in Umbraco core. It's a string extension called to safe alias, and what that's going to do is it's going to clean up that name and give us something that we can safely use. So node, and then once we've got that, we'll do node.setValue tag alias, and then comma safe alias. Let's run that and let's give it a whirl and see if that's going to do anything. Now, before we can run it, before we give it a whirl, as it were, we need to register it in our composers. So you probably knew about that. You're probably waiting for me to forget that. Well, don't worry about it. I remembered it. So we'll do it, add a class, and we'll call this register notification and notifications composer. That will do. And in here we'll do public void compose Umbraco builder. Oh, we just needed to make sure we inherited from composer as well. Icomposer, and we'll just get the relevant using. So it's Umbraco core, CMS core composing. And in here we want to do builder dot, oops, add notification handler, open angle brackets, content saving notification, and the handler we want to add is the one we created. So that's content saving notification handler. And we'll do control dot, and it will add another reference there, the using for that one. And then here we just put the open and close round brackets because that's calling a method. Now that's more like it, so that will actually add that notification handler, which is good. And this is something that you want to do before people have already added the content, because otherwise the value of the label will be empty because we didn't get this running before. So anything that's pre-existing will have an empty value in that tag alias, like block list and block grid. So I'm going to show you another couple of bits about Umbraco whilst I do this. We're coming up to the hour mark. We're nowhere near finished, but keep going. At least you get to pause it. I don't get to pause it. I'm just carrying on. Right, so is our page loading? So it is. Let's just create a new one and call it Umbraco. Save and publish. And you see, there it is. That's the value. It's coming as Umbraco. Let's create something that's got apostrophes like Paul's tutorial. Save and publish that. It's cleaned it up. It's put it in like that. So this is our first part towards being able to do our filtering by those tags in a way that I like and that I wanted to pass on to you. So we've got our nice thing there. So let's have a look to see where this block grid one is already used. So we've already used it on about this site. So let's go into there, page settings, remove, and then save and publish, and then close that. Now if we reload this page and then go to info, it's not used anywhere. That's good. What about block list? That's also not used anywhere now. So I'm going to delete these two. Okay, and that one, I'm going to delete that one as well. Now if we go into about this site, page settings, we can just add those two. And maybe we want to add a block grid. Save and publish. And maybe we want to add block list. Okay, and another good thing about doing it this way is as well, let's say we want to do C#, we can do that, but then we can rename it up here as C#. Now, if we'd have done one as C# before, C#, save and publish, it would have removed that hash and just put it in the C. So we'll delete that, we don't need that one. Okay, so we can filter this page with C#, save and publish. We can put it on here as well. We'll add Umbraco and block list. And maybe we'll do block grid and Umbraco. Right, so we've got some of those filters in use. That's all well and good, but are we able to do anything with it yet? And not really, no. We've just literally we saved this here with that value. Now, what would be good is if we could somehow use that value against this here in the index. So we can do that, and the way we do that, I will show you. So we're going to create ourselves an index component. So in our folders, I'm going to create a folder called search. Again, that's up to you how you want to do this. I'm doing it in this way because that's how I feel like doing it. We're going to add a new class, call it index component. And what we're going to do with this class, sorry, what we're going to do with this class is we are going to write some code that takes the page tags value, that is a UDI, and instead of using the page tags value, we'll use the tag alias values for each of those. So there's a bit of setup to do to start with. So we do public class index component. Again, we're using the primary constructors, and I'm copied it from my example here. So I'm sorry if it doesn't feel as good as it would do if we was doing it the normal way. You could safely say I'm not converted, but here we go. Umbraco context factory, and then we'll say Umbraco context factory there. And this just has to inherit from I component. Okay, and then it's red because we've not implemented the interface, so we'll implement the interface. I'm not sure. I think I've inherited the wrong one. Yeah, I think when I added I component, I added the wrong one. So I need to add the one that's from umbraco.cms.core.composing there. And that will bring in the relevant usings up here. And then I can control dot on that and now implement the interface. And we just need to have an initialize and a terminate. So that's good. So we're passing in these two and we've got that. So in our initialize, we can do this. If it not examine manager dot try get index. So again, we're looking for the index and we're going to use the Umbraco constants thing that we did before. So using Umbraco constants equals umbraco.cms.core.constants, and we could add that to our global usings if we wanted as well. I might do that, well, especially if I spelt it right, it might be more useful. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to our global usings. Just put that in here. So, and with the word global in front. So now, whenever we refer to that, I can just delete that here. I can then do Umbraco constants and then dot Umbraco indexes dot external index name. And then we'll do out index. So we're looking, can you get this index basically? If you can't get the index, that's what the not, the exclamation mark is doing, it's saying not, then throw a new invalid operation exception. And then we'll just put this and say, so dollar and then quotes, no index found by name, open and close angle brackets, and then we'll put in the name again. Umbraco indexes dot external index name. So we've added that and we've thrown that error. So if we can't get it, let's just throw an error to say we can't get it. So index.transform index values, transforming index values plus equals, and then we've got a method that we're going to create called Umbraco context index transforming index values. So that's the method that we're going to create lower down here. So we'll do a private void. So this is the bit where we're going to transform the values. So it's going to accept a nullable object of sender and then indexing item event args. E, and then close that, right. So now what we want to do, we want to say if int.tryParse e.valueset.id out for node ID. So basically, if that's an integer, then get it because that's the node ID and we're going to use that node ID. Then we can do var values equals e.valueset.values to dictionary x.key go, and then x goes to x.value and then to list. So that's getting all the values out that are for this indexing item. And I'll be honest, Callum helped me on this one. He helped me rejig what I did. So although it all works, it's not exactly the same as when I originally wrote it, when I fully understood it. So this is slightly changed, but what I do know is the way we're doing it here is more efficient than the way I was doing it before. So let's just go along with the example that we got given by the improvements that we got given by Callum. Again, many thanks to Callum on this one. So out var page tags. So what we got here is we're saying try and get the value from this. So for this indexing item, get all the values in a list. Now, can you find one called page tags, a value in there called page tags? If you can, set this variable using that value. Okay. Now, within here, we do using var Umbraco context equals Umbraco context factory. Now, did we pass that in? No, I don't think we did. We need to pass in, oh yeah, we did. Sorry, it's there. And then we do dot ensure Umbraco context, like so. And then we'll say var. So what this is doing is it's basically getting the Umbraco context, and this factory ensures that we have one. And then from that point, then we can use the use that Umbraco context then to do some querying of Umbraco. So we're going to be able to get the content node from the content cache. So var content node equals Umbraco context question mark dot Umbraco context, the actual object, and then we'll do question mark dot content. This is the method. Oh no, dot. This is the helper, I think. Oh, that's the actual content cache, and then we'll do dot get by ID, and then we'll pass in the node ID. So this is how we get that content node at this point from within this indexing component. Get by node, get by ID, which is the node ID that we found up here, and then using that content node, we can say if content node is not of I tagging properties, so if it doesn't use that interface, then come out of this. We're not interested. So if it's not got any tags, there's no point carrying on. We don't need you. Okay, so we're only interested when it's got tags. So now we can say var tags equals tagging.page tags. That literally gives us that property from within the back office that we saw. It gives us the value of this page tags. Okay. Then what we do is we say if tags is null or there aren't any tags, then just again come out. Not interested. We only go further when there are some tags to use, something to do here. So then we say if not tags, not values dot try get value tags, and then out var value, so get the value from it. So if we couldn't really get a value from it, then set value equal to an empty array. Okay, so if we don't have tags, then we're setting that to an empty array. So then for each var, and then we're doing, it's not a var, it's page tag in tags that are of type page tag. And that's how we do that. Then we can say if string dot is null or white space tag dot tag alias, then continue, because again we're not interested. Otherwise, add that to the value. value.add tag.tag alias. Okay, so for each of those tags, we're basically pulling out the tag alias at this point and setting it into the value. Then what we can do, values, we can say set this tags equals value. Then at this point we can say e.setValues. Remember we defined values at the very top. Values to dictionary where x.key, and then x goes to an IEnumerable of object. This is where we're just basically setting it back. And then x.value. Right, so let's look at that again. So we try and get the node ID, then we try and get the values from the value set. And if we've got some values and it's got page tags in the values, then we get the content node. And if it's the content node's got some tags on it, we get the tags. And if you've got a field, an index value of tags, if we can't get that, then we set the value to be an empty array. And then we loop through those tags. And if it's not a null or a white space tag alias, then we'll add that to this value. And then for the tags value, we basically add that in there. And then because what we have to do in order to update the index, we actually have to set it back. And the way we do that is we get this as a dictionary again, and we store that in there. So I think that should work now. That should actually give us a new tags property that we can then start to query against. So if we do rebuild solution, I don't know why I needed to rebuild the whole solution. I do apologize to myself about that. And I apologize to you too, the learner, the listener, the watcher. I'm talking absolute rubbish now. Oh, there were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? What psycho ever does say yes to that? All right, here we go. It doesn't need that defining there now because it's already in the global. That's fine. That's good. So that was in this search service that we created that was using the Umbraco constants. Don't need to do that now. Okay, won't do. No need to complain. Okay, so we've done our index component. What we haven't done is register that to run. So we need to just do an index composer. So this won't actually do anything until we've done our index composer to actually care about it. So we need to do add a class. So this is a big mistake that people make. They do often forget to register these things. You can create the best component in the world. You can create all of these great fancy code, but if you never tell the application to use it, how's it going to know? How is it going to know? Okay, so public class index composer. We want it to inherit from component composer, and then index component. This is just a quick way of registering the component, and that's as simple as that. Lovely jubbly. And what I want to do as well is just go into the terminate method on there and just double check, see what I should put. Oh, so we've just got that empty on there. I don't think we need to throw in not implemented exception. There's nothing we need to set in the terminate, so let's just leave it empty. Now we can build it and test it. Now it's starting to take shape. Okay. So let's have a look, see if what we've done is good enough, if it's going to make a difference. So we've just done a save and publish. It's got these three values. Let's see if this has done it or if we need to do more. So we'll go to external index, search for about, and then we've got this about this site. It now has 31 fields instead of 30 fields. And we've got this one called tags. Woohoo! It's actually put those values in. That is lovely. So I just think that is really nice. I'm really happy with that. So that's now set that in there for us. Okay. Now, where we've got this tags, I think on my example project, I think I may have made a mistake. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's carry on and see what we can do now to complete this, because we are getting somewhere. We really are. And we need to get this into the form and get the filtering by these tags. So let's carry this on. So we've added that. So we've got the page tags, we've got the search results, we've got the searching by the query value. We don't do anything to do with the actual tags yet. So we need to step back a bit and work out, well, how are we going to set up those tags? Where does all this come into play for getting those tags and setting those, etc. And actually, we didn't do the pagination. We'll do that at the end. Why not? We'll do that at the end. So let's go into, we're going to go into, we're going to create another extension method, and this one's going to be on publish content extensions. So we'll go into extensions here, publish content extensions. We're going to just add a new method in here called get page tags select list. So in order to be able to pass it into our form and in the checkbox list, we need to have this available as a set of values. So that's what we're going to do here. So go into this file, scroll to the bottom, and it's going to be another static method. So public static IEnumerable of select list item, and then question mark, and then we're going to say get page tags select list. Okay, we're going to attach this to this I publish content, then we're going to define an IEnumerable of select list item that can be null, all tags, and set it to be null. Okay, and then at the bottom we're going to return all tags, by the way. Here we're going to say var site settings, whoops, equals publish content, so the content item that this was called on, dot get site settings. So the way that method works, we should be able to get site settings from whatever content item we're in. Then we say if site settings is null, return null. Thank you very much. We're going to create the var, we're going to define the var page tags container, so where the page tags live, equals site settings dot first child of type, and that is going to be page tags dot model type alias. So that's going to get the parent container, and I just need to do the rounded brackets, not the angled brackets. Yeah, so that's going to get the container, and then from there, when we've got the container, we just do an if page tags container. We don't want that yet. We do question mark dot children is not equal to null, and page tags container dot children dot any. Some people say that that's not efficient anymore. I'm not sure. That's a common pattern that I've followed, and I'm going to stick with it. So now, we're saying that the folder of page tags, does that folder exist, and has it got any page tags in it? Right. Then we say var page tags equals page tags container dot children dot select, and we'll say select the ones, select them X as page tag, and then dot where Y goes to Y is not equal to null. So let's get all the page tags from there and get them as page tags. Then, so that means that all tags equals page tags dot select X goes to new select list item. We're going to define in this select list item now its text value. So with a select list item, you get a text value. You will say that equals the X dot name, and it won't be null. So that's what that exclamation mark dot means. Don't bug me about being null. So we'll get the name, and then we'll do value equals X dot tag alias. So we get the alias as well. So this method here is going to get all of those page tags. That's pretty cool. And then we're going to call that method from within our controller that we created, the render controller, the search page controller. And we're going to put it in here. So we're going to say var all tags equals current page, it's an iPublish content, get page tags select list. So straight away we've got those. And in our search request, we want to add those to that as a property on the search request model. So we're going to go into search request model. Go to search request model, and we've got our query, our page size, our skip, and then now we want to do two more properties on this, so or fields or whatever we want to call them. IEnumerable, so public IEnumerable of select list item. It can be null. All tags get and set. Okay, and then we'll do public string, which is nullable as well. Selected tags, get and set that. And then in here, in the constructor, we want to pass in a couple of things. So I'm going to put it in, no I'm not. I'm going to do string selected tags, so that can be empty and nullable string. And then I'm going to do IEnumerable of select list item. That is nullable again, all tags. And then down here, I'll make sure that selected tags is set and all tags is set as well. And what I want to do, I just want to do a bit more than just that. So I'll do all tags question mark dot select, and then I'll say item goes to, and this, I got some help with this. Matt Wise made this a bit funky for me, so thanks Matt Wise for this. So this is new select list item. So instead of just returning all tags like that, what we're going to do is we're going to set the, mainly it's about setting the selected property on it so that they can be already selected or not based on what they were before. So item.value, text equals item.text, whoops, and then selected equals selected tags dot question mark dot contains item.value, and we'll use the string comparison dot culture, current culture, ignore case, and otherwise false. There we go. That one just makes sure that of those select list items, if it's already in the selected tags, then you may as well set it as selected when you're passing that list through. Okay, so we've got that now on our model, and we've got our partial views, we've got our shared, we've got our components, we've got our search form. Let's go and add these to that search form. So where we've got this div with the margin border, margin bottom of 3, we can do another one after this. And inside this one, we're going to put the tags. So we're going to say if model isn't null and it has some old tags, and they're not null, and model dot old tags dot any. So if it's got some tags, then we'll do var I equals 0. This is just because we're going to create a loop and we're going to create the index position of each item. We want to do var I equals 0 for that, and then we're going to increment that. We'll do for each, I can't spell for each var tag in model dot all tags. So for every one of them, because we know that it's not null, we're going to create div class equals form check. Going to create this HTML for each one. Right, it likes it again now. So we've created another div. I'm just going to put the looping incrementer there, I++. That will just keep incrementing it by 1. Now let's do input class equals form check input. The type equals checkbox. The name equals selected tags, and its ID equals, and we're going to use this dollar in order to be able to combine a string with some variables. So selected tags underscore open and close round brackets, and we'll put the I. So that's why we're using that I for that. There we'll use it on the ID and we'll use it on the label 4 as well. Then the value is defined by the tag.value, and whether it's checked or not is defined by that selected property on the select list item. So tag.selected, if that is true, then selected equals selected, otherwise null, which means that that won't get rendered out at all, or it might just be empty. And then we just need to close that off. So we'll close that input off, and then we just need to create the label for this. So we'll do a label class equals form check label, and the label 4 on this is, we can just grab this where we've set the ID, we can just do the label 4 in there, and then we want to do at tag dot text in that label. So now we should find that if everything works, we should find that we can get all of the tags that have been defined in the tags section as pickable tags. They will now become available in our, oh, we've got an error. There's no argument given that corresponds to the required parameter selected tags. Oh yeah, so we forgot to add that. That's cool, that's fine. So if we have a look, so selected tags will come from the tags value, so we need to get that from the query string. So we copy page and we create one for tags. And we put that in here, tags, and then the select list item is all tags. Okay, so that's passing it into the search request model. Then the search response is defined. Then the pagination gets created. Then we've got the model, and then that passes it to the current template. So we should be able to save that, run that. And let's go into here and reload on the front end. It's thirsty work, this is. So if we give this a refresh, give this one a refresh, we should see that this is loaded in, and we should have all of our filterable checkbox list, and it should just all be working, and it should just feel like magic. Or it will be an error, and I've got to look at an error and work out why it's erroring, and it will just be a typo or something like that. That's the usual for me. There we go. So we've got our list. We can select Umbraco, submit, and oh, it nearly worked. It nearly worked. It says selected tags equals Umbraco. Pause tutorial. It seems to be filtering the results. If we look at Umbraco, contact, testing image caption, block grid. Oh no, is it always? Let's just get rid of that for now. Submit that. So now do Umbraco. Is it filtering it? Right, so there's no filtering going on because we're not actually using these tags in the search yet. But this selected part isn't working yet. So we'll just need to work out why that is. So I think I know why. In here we call that tags, but actually we should have that as selected tags. And that just basically needs to be the same as whatever the name is here. Whatever this name is, that's what it should be. So if we reload now, it knows about it and it remembers it. We could even put that in here, enter, and it's remembered it. So that's pretty nice. That's all working. So we could, in fact, now add that into our search. before we do, I just want to talk about the constants. So if we go into our controller, we've got some values here that we could set as constants, and we could, so they can be changed in one place and then used like we're using the dot model type alias, rather than just putting in the quote marks what the model type alias is, and they're what we call as magic strings, like literal values that you've coded in and put in. So rather than doing that, we can create ourselves a constants file, and the constants that I've currently got set up on my project are is here. So I'm just going, the place where it lives is in the root of here on mine. You can put it wherever you want, but I'll do add a class freelancer. Oh no, just call it constants. So public class constants, and then in here we're going to put a public, so make it a static class. Oops. And then we'll do another static class inside it, class query strings. And on that, we're going to have three const values: public const string. So constant is something that can't have its value changed. Query equals query. And then we'll do another one for page, which we'll use for the paging. And we'll do another one here for tags. Selected tags. I nearly made the same mistake again. Right, and so then we can just put this in here, constants dot query strings dot query, like that. And we can do that one page, and we can do that one tags. So you get the idea, hopefully. And the same with the search, actually. With the page size, we can have a default page size that we can use on that. So where we've got this here, we could just create ourselves another one of these and call it public static class search, and then we'll call it public const int default page size equals 10. Okay, so that's our default page size, and then what we can do here is we can just do again constants dot search dot default page size, because we're going to put this into the config anyway, and then we're going to basically say, well, what's the default? And we can have that hard coded in as a fallback if it's not set in the config. So that's fine. And to be honest, that's the controller looking like it's complete now. It's got everything the other one has got in the example project. And what we could ideally do now is update our search service to care about the tags. So in here, and it's quite simple as well, we just say if search request dot selected tags is not null, then we do query dot and. So it means that the search we did already, we're going to and this. So if these things don't match, then we won't show any results. So we get the results from the first part, and this needs to match as well. So we do dot grouped or, not a group not, grouped or, and then we have the array of tags, and we say search request dot selected tags And if we just F12 into that, that is just a string. I'm just, yeah, it's a nullable string. So we're basically saying if you've got any selected tags, then we'll do a group tour and we'll pass in those selected tags. Rebuild that. I don't know why I clicked rebuild. Oh, it's just going to take a bit longer, but hey ho. So that should update the search service now to do everything that we need it to do. So that's another part of the puzzle complete. Let's just see if it actually works though. We'll log into the back office again. Whoops. I'll just put my username and password while we wait for it to load. I hope you're following along okay, and I've explained the concepts and what we're doing as we go. I hope that you've been able to follow. It's not been too complex for you. This is the actual original project. I'm on the wrong one. Right, let's reload this one. So what we want to see is we want to be able to filter by some of these and see the results. And have those results filtering correctly and accurately based on what they were set. And already I saw that that changed. So block list, there wasn't anything set with block list. There was one set with C#. What about block grid? No, apparently we didn't set anything to use block grid. Let's go into content. Let's go to site settings, page tags, block grid. Did anything use it? Says contact about Umbraco was using it. Interesting. I'll just do a save and publish on that. Oh yeah, now it's there. It's fine. It's caught up with itself. So contact about Umbraco had Umbraco and block grid. Yeah, and block grid was only used on contact about Umbraco. Paul's tutorial is used on about this site apparently. Let's just close that and have a look. About this site. Page tags. Paul's tutorial is on there. So we've got the filtering. Oh, get wrong site. So yeah, we've got the filtering working both. Let's see if that works. So we get all results. Now we can do about. So we only have that. And then if I do Paul's tutorial, it's filtered by about and by Paul's tutorial. And it's showing that. And actually do Umbraco, contact about Umbraco. Yeah. Yeah, quite happy with that. So that's the filtering side of it working there as well. So we need to sort out another thing, which was the pagination. So let's do that while we're here. And the pagination is done again with a view component. So let's create that view component. And a quick way to create the view component is to copy one that already exists. And this one is called components, pagination view component. Imaginative. There we go. And we're just doing exactly the same, but in this one, we're expecting a pagination view model. And we've got this clever thing that basically says, if that model is null, then generate a new version of it. There we go. And then pass that model back to the view. Then in our search page, we want to pass in underneath the search results. We want to copy that basically. And then here, called pagination model dot and then pagination. There we go. That's fine. Pagination view model, and then there's this pagination URL format. So what we need to do, I'll show you what we're using it for. Actually, we'll get to that. We'll do that after. We do need to have a look at the pagination partial view. So yeah, we've got the component, and so as we know, when we create a component, we need to create a matching folder in here. So just drag and make a copy of that. Call this pagination default. Right, okay, we're going to get rid of this, and we'll just call this pagination view model. Control dot, using that. Okay, and then in here we're just going to delete everything else, and we'll just do an if model is not null and model dot total pages is greater than 1, because otherwise there's no point in doing pagination. If there's only one page, what is the point? So we're going to use some bootstrap code again, some bootstrap HTML for a pagination. So nav area label equals page navigation, and then we'll do a UL, and then we'll say if model.currentPage is greater than 1, then we'll do an li with a class of page item and with a link inside it, with a class of page link, and an href, and we'll do at string.format, and we'll do model.pagination format, and that's one thing that we need to set. So let's just move across here. So what we're saying is string format, model.pagination format, otherwise nothing. So if that's null, then don't use anything. And then the variables to use in this string format is the current page -1 and to string on that. And this is all inside an outer bracket. And then the label for this is, for this A, is previous. Close that and close the A. Just move that across. Yeah, so the label for that is previous. So that's our previous link. So if the current page is greater than 1, then we want to be able to go back. And this model.pagination URL format we need to sort out. So basically, we'll get to doing that now actually. So I'll just find how it's referenced in here. So in our controller, where we define the pagination, we can also get the pagination URL format, but we have to set that up in a helper. So we're going to create a pagination helper. So we'll do right click, add folder, helpers, and then we're going to call this add class. We're going to call this pagination helper. And this pagination helper is going to be a static class, and this is going to be public static string get pagination URL format. And the difference with this one is it's not using the this keyword, so it's not extending, it's not an extension method, it's just a static method. So path string path, and then an empty string query string. So the path being like the page path, like / about, the query string being all the query parameters that are on there, and then the nullable string of page. So that's our method that we're going to have. It's saying not all of them return a value. So this, Callum did say that he does this differently. This is the way that my colleague Joe showed me, and I quite liked it. So name values equals query helpers in the web utilities dot parse query, and then query string. So this basically takes that query string value and then it puts it into name values, which is a type of dictionary. So it pops it into a dictionary, and then what we say is if not string dot is null or white space the page. So if we've got a number for the page, then name values dot remove. So we're saying remove the constants dot query strings dot page. So we're saying from that dictionary, take page out of the dictionary, but then add it back in with a value like this. And that's actually part of the, that will be recognized then in the string dot format, which is a C# thing where it can replace within a string. If you've got like curly braces and a number, you can have 0 like this and 0 again and 1 again and 2. Then the variables that you pass afterwards with the commas, they will be the things that get replaced into there. So that's what the whole point of this is. So it's saying take that out, now put it back in, and then you can do your string format and it will work. So it's a way to, it's just nice, it makes the URLs correct. Otherwise, add constant, so basically do this. Okay. Then at the end of all this, return web utility dot URL decode, and then we'll do query helpers dot add query string path and name values. So we put the query string back on. We get the query string back from this. So we were given the query string and the path and the page. We combine it all together, and now we come back with that. So that being said, we go back to our search page controller, and after current page is defined, we do pagination URL format equals pagination helper dot get pagination URL format. We do the request dot path. We do request dot query string dot to string and the page. And that's what we pass into that method, and that will get us the correct URL format. So then, going back to our partial view for the pagination, which was the whole point of this. So if we go into views, shared, components, pagination, default, we can go back to this now. And so that's it. If it's and so therefore you can see that we're using the string format and then the comma, and then this is just the page that gets passed in. We can now copy this and do the opposite at the other end. If model dot current page is less than model question mark dot total pages, then we might want a next. And we just make sure that we've got that incorrect. So it's a page item and a page link. The href, we just need to do model.currentPage +1 and the word next. We've got that. And then in between, we've got the numbers. So you can make this clever. You can do this in groups of numbers and anything like that. But for now, I don't want to complicate things even further. So we're just going to render out each page in between. So we're setting a variable of I equals 1. And then we are saying whilst I is less than model question mark dot total pages, we'll keep iterating on this and incrementing by 1. So we'll copy that link again, page item, page link, href is string format, doing all of that. And then let's just make sure that actually instead of all of that, it's just doing I, which is the page number. And then we're rendering out the page number here as well, I. So that's our pagination sorted. Let's go to the search page. Are we doing it? Are we calling it? Yes, we are. Right, let's try and build it again and get it to render. So we're getting very near the end now. I know it's been a long video, and combined these two videos are over 3 hours, but hopefully you get the value out of these videos. And I couldn't start with this at the beginning. I think splitting it into another video again, well, just delay things even further. And let's just carry on. At least you can just pause it at your end if you need to understand it and wait. So at the moment, the pagination isn't doing anything, and that is because the pagination is set to 10, and there aren't more than 10 items, so we won't get to see the pagination yet. And oh, actually, is it set to 2? So page 1 and page 2. Oh, I'm on the example one again. Let's go over to this one. Reload this. Undo that. Delete that. Submit. And you could always do a button that clears the form or anything like that. So there's 4 items, but the pagination is set to 10. Let's see if we can easily in the code go into the constants, set that to be 2. No, we'll set it to be 1. Rebuild and apply changes. I thought it was going to have to do that. Now it's not good to, if you just want to change the page size, to have to do that in code. So one thing that I have also done in the app settings is to set the search settings for the page size as well. So whilst we wait for this, I'm just going to go into here, and we've got our freelancer object, and then I'm going to add a search settings section as well, and we'll say page size. We'll put that as 2 in there, and then we just need to update the configuration, freelancer config. We'll create a search settings class, so public class search settings, and then public int page size. getting set. And then we just need to add that up here. Search settings. It's nullable and it's got the name of search settings as well. So now we can actually define that in there. Then we can use that in our controller where we get the page size. We can go into here and we can pull it out of the config. So we already have the free, oh, we don't have the config going in here, so we'd need to define that as well. So we would use the options pattern. So we do I options freelancer config, and I'll just call that freelancer config again. And then we would have a private read-only property. Freelancer config property equals freelancer config dot value. I've not defined it with a name yet, so I'll just do underscore. There we go. So now I can use this config object when I'm setting my page size, and I can say freelancer config question mark dot search settings question mark dot page size, and if you don't have that, then fall back to the default page size, and we can put that back to 10 now. There we go, and we can set that one. We'll set that one to 1. We'll rebuild the solution and then we'll run it. So that's another thing that I wanted to do, was just show you how you can put some of these settings in the config as well, especially for like the search settings and things that you don't necessarily want that to be a code change. You could just update the app setting and restart the site, which is better than having to do a redeployment of the whole site. So let's go into here. As you can see there, we've got the pagination was coming up. There might be an issue with styling. Maybe we've forgotten a class or misspelt a class. So we can have a look at that and work out what the issue was. Maybe the UL didn't have the class of pagination on it. Yeah, it looks like it hasn't. So we can do that now. There we go. And I'll save that and then we'll reload this. Yes. Come on. So next, next, next. So there's 4 results. We go to the first page, we go next, 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 previous. Yeah, lovely. So the pagination's working, the search is working. It feels like we've got everything in now. So we've done that. We've done the search. We've done the all of the examine stuff. We've been able to filter it. We've added your pagination. Yeah, I would say that we've got all of the search working now. I know it was quite complicated, these videos, but hopefully you've been able to follow along and build up to this point. Hopefully other people that are already used to Umbraco, maybe done this sort of thing in a different version, this has helped them overcome some of those issues. I think it is time. I can't believe it's time, but it's time to say that's the end of the episode and the end of the series. If you liked the video, please click on like, subscribe to my channel, and even if all you do is go on the guest book and just let me know that you completed it, I'll be so happy. I'll be made up to hear that someone watched all the videos and they completed the series. Yeah, I definitely would be really happy to see that. I can't wait to publish this tomorrow and people start watching and start seeing people commenting on the guest book. I really hope they do anyway. I don't know if they will. Um, yeah, so please like and subscribe. If you are looking to buy me a coffee, some people are looking to do that. If that's you, then you can go to codeshare.co.uk/coffee. If that's not you, don't worry. Not, it's free videos anyway on YouTube. I just wanted to also mention that I work for Clarkswell. So if you find that you want more support from me, or you want to bring us on board to help with a project, maybe you got in too deep and you not got enough time to finish it, you can get in touch with Clarkswell on here, and you can let us know. Like, reach out to us. Don't just suffer in silence. Don't just miss your deadlines or anything like that. Or if you want dedicated consulting or something from me, you do that via Clarkswell, who I work for, and we'll be able to help you out. But it's not a sales pitch. I'm just letting you know if you are looking to reach out to get me to help you. Aside from the community side, like if I can point you in the right direction and give you the tips and tricks, you've got all the videos I've done anyway. But if there's more than that, then obviously that's how you get in touch. It's yeah, it's end of an era. I've been working on this for about 5 or 6 months, building the original site to get it to all work and everything, get it to a point that I'm happy with, and then build the outline, show it to other people in the community, like Warren Buckley, thanks ever so much, the Callum White, Dean Barker, other people that I've shown it to that's given me feedback that's helped shape it, Mark Goodson especially as well. All these people have helped me along the way to build this course materials for you with an example of a project that you start from scratch with and build it up. So I really do hope you like it. I can get some sleep now, and yeah, I can't wait for everyone to start watching it. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the comments on the videos or on here. All right, thanks ever so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.